Okay, so so Mick
Oh,
Strawn is in the actual home that they filmed this in Austria. No, not really.
there, that's the kitchen.
This is an Austrian movie, 1997. The writer director named God, what's his name? Michael Haneke, I think is how you say his name. He wrote and directed this, and then he tried to remake it in 2007 with Tim Roth and Naomi Watts, which is interesting. He did
Really?
a shot-for-shot remake of this because he felt like when he released this in '97, it was a art house movie that was done like in Sundance, and a lot of the American audience just ignored it. And so he tried to
Right?
remake it to kind of get it through to push it through that barrier, I
Boy,
guess.
I wanna I wanna see that version just to see
I have
if
seen
it
it. I was
has.
watching this. I'm like, this looks so familiar. And I looked it up and I was like, oh, I remember Tim Roth being the guy, the dad. And I remember Naomi Watts. I remember I wasn't that impressed with that one. This is about two violent young men who take a mother, father, and son hostage on their vacation cabin and force them to play sadistic games with one another for their own amusement.
I have to say, the acting, the editing, the camera shots on this, it is. Every once in a while, you look at a film and you go, they only had so many tools. They only had, a couple of cameras, uh, and they had some actors. There's nothing special about any of it. And yet, it is one of the most terrifying. And
You said terrifying, right? Or terrible?
no, I said terrifying.
No,
No,
your
no,
audio cut out right when you said it. I was like, what did he say? Terrible?
no. It's terrifying. It is absolutely the most. I very rarely do this, but there was a scene when we're in the kitchen, and I kept wanting to look around the corner, and knowing that there's no corner there, right? I wanted to look around the corner to see what was happening in the rest of the house so bad, and yet we're watching a guy make a sandwich, and and my nerves are just on
And you hear
edge,
the
just going.
noises.
You can hear the yeah,
And the
you can
guy's
hear
just
the
like, oh,
noises.
what was that? Okay, well, I'll go back to my sandwich.
Yeah, exactly, and you're just oh, it's just terrifying. It is absolutely, and and the editor of this, his ability to hold on a moment and just let that moment stretch, not far enough, but so far that it goes around the world and comes back and hits you in the back of the head like a bullet.
There was one scene that was 10, actually, it was a 10-minute camera shot that didn't move. And it was the most interesting shot that I've seen in a long
It's the
time.
most interesting shot. It just you just sit there and you go. The thing is the horror of what you're looking at, and it's a still shot. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
literally, what you will
Just a wide
do.
shot, yeah.
It's just a wide shot, and I'm not kidding. During that shot, I kept clicking the camera, the TV, going, "Hey, is this thing broken? I don't understand." And and then after a while, you begin to realize what they're doing,
Right,
right?
yeah.
And it is so.
And
I want to say soul crushing,
you
right?
can feel their agony, like when the dad starts crying, you can totally feel it's just crazy. But
Oh,
yeah, that scene
it,
got me. And what's interesting is that the director, I was watching a short interview with him, kind of talking about different things. And one of the things he said was that he didn't want to take close up shots of that because it would be kind of pornographic. He said it would be kind of
right.
irresponsible
Yeah.
to do a close up.
So much of it was on a wide shot, uh, and it he broke so many of the standard rules of filmmaking that and yet he did it so well. And I've said this before. I've said that on my worst days of working on film, on my worst days, I had to always go back to the rules, right? You would go back to, like, because the thing that you do the things that become your style are the things that you do wrong again and again and again until they're right. Okay. But this guy did everything wrong. He just did it so intentionally that in the end, it just blows your mind.
Intentional is the word for sure. Well, I think what I find really fascinating about this movie, well, yeah, like you said, the acting was superb. The script is amazing. And it had a lot of surprises in it. I didn't feel like it was too long either. I felt even that 10-minute scene was just excruciating to watch, but I didn't fast forward through it.
I'm not kidding. The 10-minute scene just, I swear to God, I went through the 7 stages of shock. I really did. I went through all 7 stages of shock.
Well, what turned this?
That one scene.
Yeah, what turned everything on the head was that it didn't show the actual violent act that happened. It showed the aftermath, and which is more excruciating. It's like, but I think in a way the director is kind of challenging audiences of horror movies. Not really making fun or condescending, but like asking people why they like horror movies. What do they get out of it? And then also the fact, part of that interview he was talking about how he thinks people are desensitized by violence if they're watching a lot of horror movies, but not like violence in reality, violence on film, which I know for sure is the truth for me. Like I've seen a ton of violence on film that doesn't really bother me as much as it used to. So I can watch a horror movie, but my wife can watch the same movie and be affected a lot worse than I am.
I think that what he proved, though, was that we become desensitized to standard editing, editing and subpar acting.
Oh, totally. I mean, yeah, the actors on this are amazing. I was like, that was actually the first thing I was blown away by, but it was how good everybody was, including the kid. The kid was amazing too.
Yeah, the angst I felt. And the way that he got into the situation was so odd, you know. I remember thinking to myself. When I was about 10 minutes into the film, I was thinking to myself, "Guy, I wish the plot would start." And then I realized, "Oh, holy shit! I'm actually in the middle."
Well, I think he was kind of pointing out how, I mean, what's interesting, this is like a non-horror movie. It's almost like it's not really an art film and it's not a feature film. It's kind of in between. It's kind of a Hitchcock. It's almost like Hitchcock's. Yeah. There's one scene I really liked. It was definitely a Hitchcock scene where she was outside on the road and there were cars coming towards her. And everything she did was a gamble. It's like you didn't know what would happen.
And you felt, and the thing is you completely felt that gamble.
Right.
You know, you're seeing the headlights and you're going, you totally knew what she was betting. And then when the safe bet drives by and you go, oh, God.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, this is hard to talk about because I don't want to ruin a lot of things, but like, I think it's something everybody should watch. Did you notice the white gloves, the
white gloves were just so weird. You know?
Well, I was thinking about this, and I'm like, the director, I think he's trying to make a comment about horror movies. I think he's kind of comparing Hollywood movies to this movie. Hollywood movies are more cartoonish, so I think he was wearing these gloves they're like cartoons because they were playing 2 different parts. Like, so this is 2 different movies at once. So you have the 2 guys that are playing a comedy, right?
Right.
And the family, they're playing the drama. And it's like you could hear in their dialogue that the 2 guys are just having a great time, and the family is totally devastated. Like,
and the greater time that they're having is commentary of horror.
Yeah.
To everybody else in the film, right?
And we didn't even talk about the fact that they break the 4th wall like multiple times. Talk to the audience
multiple times, like there was like the. One particular of the bad guys just kept turning around and just staring. And I don't mean breaking the 4th wall. I mean just assembling it.
It's like I'm there with him. Yeah. Skull. Like, so what do you think? What do you think? What should we
do? What should we do now? Yeah. You're like, holy shit.
Oh, and then there's a scene that's okay. The narratives, 2 different narratives. This is one thing that I thought was kind of shocking, and I think the director did this obviously to shock people. But like, so you get to a certain point and something happens, and then the guy does something. Now we're the perpetrators are in total control at that point, and then it goes to the second narrative. It totally changes the storyline. It's like it's crazy.
It's just absolutely as insane as you can get, and
Yeah.
and then out on the boat.
Oh, they talk about fiction and reality, and then like they nonchalantly do something that I was like, that was crazy how they did that. It's like,
yeah, right, exactly. And you know what? Here's the thing. You didn't even know when the moment was that they just slid that out, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you realize, oh, the boat is empty, right?
Right.
You're like, oh, God.
What just happened?
Yeah, what just happened, man? God. Yeah, I have to admit that I don't love this film because I don't think I would intentionally put myself through that kind of torture again. But I have learned some lessons about editing that I will take to my grave.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it's an amazing film, and I have to say that, you know, I want to put this up around a 4.8. I've already told everybody that I know to watch this film, and particularly the editor. I gave it immediately to the editor of the film that I'm working on next. I said, here, I want you to look at this, and then we're going to talk.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's so much going on here. Like, I was actually thinking, okay, I don't know if it's true or not. I need to look up some more about this movie, but like, or this film, to see what the director was intending. It's like, I feel like he was asking a lot of questions like, okay, why do you like horror movies? Which I watch all the time and I enjoy. And then like how this is so different from, you know, Chucky or, you know, even like Freddy, you know, it's so different and it's like night and day. And then this is more brutal and more painful to watch. Like I can watch Leatherface all day chopping people up.
Oh, no. Like, how about me? I mean, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I would really have to think about it to watch this thing again because it's not that it's so real. It's just that it is so effective at what it does that it
it's
hurts.
Not real.
It hits
closer
you
to
on
reality.
It hits you in a visceral level. I mean, you just cannot help but react to the screen. You're just going, oh, and like I say, there's a 10-minute scene in there, and you go through all the stages of grief. You go through every stage of grief in the 10 minutes. You know, you laugh it off, ha ha ha. Then and by the end of it, you're depressed. It's just amazing.
Yeah, well, like I think you're like me in a lot of ways where it's like hard to like make us uncomfortable watching a horror movie or watching a movie in general, just any movie.
Exactly, right?
And this one that scene made us uncomfortable for sure.
Really uncomfortable.
And you have to remember that I would rate this higher because I love slower movies like art movies. Art movies is kind of a stretch maybe, but like, you know, Ingmar Bergman.
You do like a slower movie. You do like a slower movie.
Well, I got into movies, and when I really got into movies, I was watching nothing but Ingmar Bergman, Fellini, Truffaut, all that artsy stuff.
Not a name dropper much, are you?
It's my bag, man. That's my bag. But no, I would actually give this a 5, probably. I'm going to go there.
Yeah, it is one of the rare perfect films I've seen, I have to say.
And actually, halfway through, I didn't want to like it. I was like, what the fuck is this? And then I was like,
I didn't want to like it from... I'm not kidding. I didn't want to like it from the start, and I was watching it in little segments.
Yeah, I think
and
like
all of a sudden I kind of like went like...
I think up to the point where before he winked, I was like, what is this? And then he winked, and I'm like, wait a minute, what was that?
Like, yeah, okay. And then all of a sudden you look at you and you go, wait a minute, what the... That was what I was talking about. Is at the beginning, you know, at the beginning, and you have to admit that this is true, it had a little bit of a Leave It to Beaver kind of feel, right?
Totally, yeah. The way they're addressed and everything. Well, Eddie Haskell is totally a psychopath. I mean, if you watch Leave It to Beaver, you know that he's a psychopath.
Yeah, we don't need to go down that.
Hi, Miss Cleaver.
Go
How are
down
you
that
doing
route.
today? Hi.
But I had to admit that I was thinking to myself, my God, what, what, what a really stupid thing. And then all of a sudden, in the middle of like borrowing eggs, right? This guy winks at the camera, and you go, well, what was that all about? And then it just gets and it gets darker, just a little bit dark, and then a little bit dark, and then it does everything it can to reclaim that lightness, right? But then it gets a little darker again, and then it does everything, and then after a while, all of a sudden, you realize that you're in the middle of a full-grown panic. Such a strange film.
That was a good description. Actually, I knew nothing about this. I saw the name and I saw the picture I just saw the picture with the pillowcase over the head, and I read the description. I'm like, okay, they play games. That sounds interesting. So I didn't remember it until about halfway through. I was like, wait a minute, I've seen this with different actors.
Wow.
So he did a shot for shot later. 2007, 10 years later, he tried to remake this one.
So you send me this thing that goes, you say, well, how about the next round? Funny Games, 1997. It's the German one on HBO. And I said, sure. And then it says, in case you want a better quality video than the HBO one, it's on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then I wrote, I've seen it and I can't unsee it.
Well, and I didn't know if that was. See, I left that alone. I didn't ask why you said that because I was like, that could go either way. That could be like he hated it or he loved it. But no, I found it on YouTube and it was like crystal clear, and I'm like, okay, it's a Criterion movie, and on HBO it doesn't look very clear.
Oh, that's really weird because HBO are the keepers of the Criterion.
Yeah, but I thought it was grainy,
monster.
and I'm like, what is going on here? Then I found it on YouTube, and it was like high def, and I'm like, okay.
That's weird. Yeah.
So figure that one out.
I am a fan of this film. It's really funny when you said that they did a remake in English, and I thought, well, that can't be anywhere near as good as. I mean, you can tell that this didn't have to go through much of a studio process.
No.
Yeah,
And it was all shot in one place. It was like a theater. Actually, it was like a play.
Yeah,
it was a play, really.
It was like a play, and it was very wide shots. There was very few close-ups at all. In fact, I kept waiting. I kept waiting for the two kids in the hallway to go away, so that we could get on with the rest of the plot, right? And then all of a sudden, realize, oh my God! Oh wait,
this is the plot.
Oh.
When there's a slap, you kind of know something's up.
Yeah, really weird. Really
I've seen
weird.
Somebody needs to go back. Well, I wish they could remake Leave It to Beaver and make it a horror movie. Because Eddie Haskell. Can the beaver come out and play?
It's called Playing Games.
Which, by the way, that was my pickup line when I was single.
That's just sad.
Not
that's
really.
Sad.
See, it's one of those things where I heard the joke in my head and I didn't filter it. I just kind of let it go out.
You didn't work it all the way through.
You know, my filter just has a big hole in it. So
yeah. I think you really need to get that work done.
Well, I think there's not much more we could say about this one, other than go see it. Actually, both of them won a lot of awards and were nominated for a lot of things.
Yeah, I have to say, you know, if you're a filmmaker,
it's artsy fartsy stuff like,
definitely if you're a filmmaker, see it, take notes, don't see it again.
Artsy fartsy like the Sundance Dream Award.
Yeah.
Best writing in a small motion picture, foreign film.
You know what I'm saying?
It's one best of show at the dog show.
Which, by the way, I wouldn't mind winning an editing award or a sound award or something from a tiny movie like this. I'd be fine with that.
Oh, yeah. Hello. I just scaring the hell out of everybody. Jesus. Anyway.
Well, you only need like one camera, and you can make it happen. This proves it. Actually, you're right. People that want to be filmmakers really need to see this because you can learn a lot from just watching how they did this, trying to figure out how they did everything. Because I was sitting there trying to analyze everything.
Look at just a more normal film, and then take a look at this. And,
watch Nightmare on Elm Street 3 or 4, and then watch this
one. And realize once you've learned what the difference is between the two, then you can make your first film.
There you go.
It's amazing.
I still want to make Mick Strawn Makes a Salad. It's a short horror movie, short film.
Yeah, we'll get right on that.
Okay. All right.
Okay, man, I gotta go. That is one of the creepiest films I've ever seen in my life.
Same here. I was trying to find creepy, and I just saw the picture and Sadistic Games. Okay, let's try it.
Yeah.
Well,
oh boy.
It also got me that it was Austrian. I was like, oh, okay, Austrian's a little bit.
There you go.